Hey guys, it's Will. So CTM stock is a little known defense company that specializes in processing large amounts of data for the US government, and they have been holding true to our trend. We have some long-term positions, and let's just take a look at how it's going. So they recently surged about 8% today, and just in the past week, they've made this move essentially that's about a 27 or yeah, somewhere in here, 27 to 37% increase in the last week or so. And we've kind of been watching this 30% surge as they have this build in market cap. It kind of looks a little crazy. When we started covering it back here, they had a big spike to $3 a share. And it was definitely overvalued at that moment, but it was only a few $100 million of investment. So it wasn't like this big pump, nothing too crazy. It looks that way, but that's because it's such a small company. The fact they're just around $100 million market cap. The market they're in is defense. So they're growing really fast. And if we look at their financials, this is where we start to see things start to heat up. One thing to note, before basically today, there was almost no announcements of their news that was prevalent. There was hardly any news, not really much of anything. But now, when we search CTM, you could see some more hype articles. Maybe not hype. It's a little more, I'd say, value driven. They're talking about leasing. They're talking about declining assets, vacancy rates, things like that. That's actually a different company, actually. That is a different company. But there's a few Castellums. And then you got earnings outlook and everything else. Before this, it would be every other week or every few weeks we'd get an article. Now, maybe we do, but again, that's a different company. CAST, that's a different company. So just keep that in mind. So revenue, it might actually still be unhyped at all. Let me just take a look at Castellum from a news perspective, just front page Google. How are we doing? Okay, one day ago, nothing too crazy. Yesterday was a higher news day. There was about 5 articles. That's actually a lot. Normally, it's been every couple weeks, something like that. But I think it was their public issued letter that they had for shareholders, basically announcing that they were moving the company into what could be some AI strategic outlooks. So using LLMs for the development and software development that they do for the government. So they issued this letter, and you kind of see it's this public letter. The CEO talks about 1 year, and they mention some of the big contracts, including a $103 million contract, which is good for a company with only $100 million market cap. Healthy balance sheet. They mention improved cash to equity ratio, reducing their long-term debt to under 5 million, which is really good because, again, that's something they improved their balance sheet. That it most likely will show up in the next earnings, but you see more assets than liabilities, and quarterly revenues have been consistent at about $10 to $11 million per quarter. And we saw them sign some contracts recently, so most likely we'll see these financials sustain, if not potentially improve. Now we got to see what comes out, but what you could see is they also announced focus on AI and machine learning and data analytics, which is good as they specifically focus on contracts for defense, working with companies like Epic Systems tied to Department of Defense. You have Navy, you have Army. This is a naval air systems contract there, that $103 million contract. So they have the contracts coming in, they have the financials coming in, and we've seen this recent move come up with this consistent uptrend up into this $1.33 today, pushing up higher. Could it correct back down and we see this trend kind of even out and get it back down to $1.15 somewhere in here? It's possible, but that overall market cap build has been good. Now we're actually eyeing some levels up into here. Now, the aggressive approach would be a bullish sentiment up into about 50% increase to $2. Only an increase really of about 50 million in investments, which we could definitely see. The more conservative bullish outlook would be this resistance here, this rising resistance that's probably going to end up somewhere in that $1.60 range. kind of see that level there where it's gotten rejected. And so maybe before we eye that big $2.20 range, we kind of look at this more conservative outlook here down into this range here. It's about a 27% increase from here, 25% increase from here into these levels. So I see a lot of potential for something like that to continue. We're going to watch now what is this new support level potentially at $1.30. If it holds, that's kind of the bullish target. Otherwise, we could potentially see a rejection here. But I have long-term positions. We've been covering it for many months, and they seem to be in the same market as Big Bear, Palantir, and defense companies that specialize in the software for defense. That puts them in a position to provide more value, especially with some new initiatives to fuel investments in defense markets by the US government with some of the recent bills that have passed. So potentially looking to see an overall market catalyst for defense. If not, we've already seen some catalysts hit them with their revenues, and just seeing that intrinsic value catch up is why Castellum Inc.'s one that we're watching. Now, we're going to be watching it closely. We were trading it pretty consistently through these swings, and we have long-term positions there around 87 cents, somewhere in here, and it's at $1.36. We will see if we can reach those levels we saw back at the beginning of the year here around that $1.70 to $2 range. It's possible, but we're taking it one day at a time. I like that there's not a lot of hype around this stock and that it's not seeing a ton of articles, a lot of people covering it. Maybe some of the people that cover it on YouTube, there's a lot of people that cover it, haven't really covered it because there's not so much hype articles. But if they are covering it, potentially it could be maybe because they see our videos, because it seems that we were really the only people that were covering it. So that's kind of why we liked it, is because it wasn't having hype, but they had good financials here, and it was making sense that they could potentially continue to grow as their assets have been consistently growing along with the revenue. So with that, we have some bullish outlook. Nice day today, so we could expect a pullback though after a big surge. RSI MACD, definitely we're looking overbought there in that overextended range. So we got to watch potentially for a pullback, but we got a support level at $1.30 we'll be watching. So if you guys want to join us in our daily live trading, there's about a little bit less than 12 hours left on our sale for Stockmates. If you want to get lifetime access with the current pricing that we have, next daily live trading is happening in 17 hours. So you can get into our trading tomorrow morning at 6:30 a.m. We will be there, and you can also get not only our entries and exits, but targets for the upcoming weeks, along with when companies are reporting earnings, so you have an idea of pre-market, after hours, and what have you, and surround yourself with some investors that are crushing it. There's some really good investor insights here. We don't do Discord so much. We focus on good insights rather than focusing on maybe like there's a CTM announcement there, and we got some conversations rolling, rather than focusing on just the what to buy. It's kind of like why do we see that's what I love about the members here in Stockmate. And Lawrence, we got this cup that we're sending out to Lawrence, which I'm excited. It's got a trading plan on it we announced. And shout out to David, 100% all-time returns in 4 months. Isn't that cool? 4 months, 8 days, doubled his money so far. And he's working on quitting a job at Amazon. And he says, thanks, Woolrich, for everything. Much appreciated. Like I said, I don't think it's only us. I think it's the members in the group that bring such good value, and how we keep it more organized with how that value is delivered. So thanks so much again for watching. If I earned your thumbs up, hit the like button, comment down below what your thoughts are on CTM, and do consider subscribing. I'll see you guys in the next video. Take care.